discipline is like it's a two-headed coin in my thing, right? I feel like the harder you have to do it, the bigger the guilt. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
always comes with a side of we'll call it dad guilt, right? The biggest
Yeah.
dad guilt comes when you have to put in heavy discipline, right? So like burn for you. The immense pressure of like, you got limited custody time and you want to be fun. How do you discipline or enforce discipline when you only see them a certain like for a lot of amount of time and don't want to like, dude, because something could ruin a couple. I don't want to say ruin the visit, but it could, turn a good day sideways real
Oh
quick.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, listen, it's been a very interesting like tightrope to walk. And I will say, like Jess and I, if there's one thing we try to keep like if there's one thing we actually do communicate well about, because it's the most important thing, is like what are the consequences? Like the consequences at her house have to be the same as the consequences at my house.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm gonna get otherwise, and that's not for even for them, it's for me. Otherwise, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
rolled. I'm gonna get
Yeah.
rolled on this one, right?
Yeah.
Um, so but it's all about trying to be consistent, but like my son, we used to like, he'd freak out. He was 3, 4, he'd freak out. I'd bear hug him. We'd
Yeah.
go into a room. You know what I mean? I'd be like, hey, as soon as you calm down, like we can go. And
Hmm.
he'd be like, all right, freaking out. He'd get it real quick, right?
Yeah.
Try that with my daughter, pick her up. No, we got to separate you guys. You're not listening. He's doing his thing. I'm cooking dinner. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I'm taking you upstairs. I pick her up like this, and she starts going, Daddy, you're hurting me. And I'm like,
Oh my
no,
God.
I'm holding you the same way I would take you upstairs, the same way you
Hmm.
asked me to pick you up. And you go, Daddy,
Yeah.
Daddy, you're hurting me. And
Oh
so,
my God.
so with her, it's got to be a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It's got to be like, okay, well, we're taking away, like we're not watching Mickey's Clubhouse anymore. Like my
Yeah.
son, I could just bear hug him when he was freaking out,
Yeah.
get him out of the room. You bear hug. I'd be like, hey, buddy, listen, I understand. I understand you're upset. We got to calm down. Yada yada yada, and he'd get there. Her, if I did that to her, she would yell, "Daddy, you're hurting me" for 45 minutes until she fell asleep. Until she got too tired to yell anymore. Until she fell asleep. She's stubborn. She's a different kind of kid. So
Hmm.
it's like, how do we figure that? So mom can send them to their rooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At mom's house. Well, they share a room here. And as soon as I send one to their room, the other one comes up and is like, oh, what are you in your room? Oh, I'm going to
Yeah.
be in your room.
Oh, really?
Oh, oh,
Damn.
yeah. Immediately. Immediately.
Pretty
Like,
great though.
oh,
That's tough. That's one of those where it's tough not to laugh. You're like, you little
Yeah.
fucking shit.
they're
You
close
know?
enough in age that when one is in trouble, the other one is like, "Oh, I've never been a better kid in my entire
Oh
life.
man.
Look
Yeah.
at how
I'm just over
shitty
here
that
reading
one
the
is."
Bible, Dad.
Yeah,
Psalms verse
exactly,
12. Love you.
exactly.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
whole bullshit. I would say,
yeah,
dude, can we all agree on this though? When it comes to discipline or dishing out discipline, if it's in a public setting, right?
Hmm.
Taking them in a private place to do it is the only way to do it.
you got to get them
Right?
Yeah.
out of the situation. You got
You
to just be like,
gotta get them away. Like
we're
if you're
leaving
at
this
a
situation."
party or at a place or whatever, take them to the side.
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, I'll grab him. I'll say to my daughter, I was like, look, I will fucking embarrass you in front of everybody here. Do you want me to fucking spank you in front of all your friends? Because I'll do it.
Hmm.
Got no
Well,
problem with it.
she's finally starting to get that, because embarrassment doesn't kick in for a while. Now with my son, with my 8-year-old, embarrassment's a real thing. You know what I
No.
mean?
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Like, but like my four
Yeah,
year
mine's
old is like,
11. Like I
yeah,
could.
Ugh.
yeah. My 4-year-old, she doesn't give a shit. She's like,
What's
I'll watch
embarrassment for your 11-year-old, Liam? You gonna start singing Limp Bizkit or something?
No, doing
anything,
honestly
anything.
doing any of it in front of her friends. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's in trouble, I need to like if I don't pull her aside, that would she would not be cool with that, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean,
anything.
but that's on her though. You know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if
I
she
mean
if
it
she
depends
forces
on it
it,
depends on the
yeah.
situation. But
The
most of the time,
severity.
yeah, most
Right.
of the time if it's just something that I need to, you know, there's
Yeah.
something that
Well,
needs to be said, I'll pull her
so
aside.
then,
You
all
know.
right, Liam, let's talk to you about guilt, right? The
Hmm.
fear of like coming down too hard will damage like the only parental bond they have
Yeah.
in your
Yes.
house, right? Like
Yes.
that's a huge fear, right?
Yes. That's the worst part. Is I'm afraid like if things get like if it gets too like you know what I mean, like if it gets too rough, like too nah, not rough, like
Contentious.
yeah, if it gets like if it gets too intense, you know,
Yeah.
like I don't want her to get that upset where she starts to like resent like me, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's scary. That's the scariest
Yeah.
part. Is like when she
Yeah.
gets like a little bit older from now, that's gonna be terrifying.
Yeah.
Is like
Yeah.
because then like, you know, I don't want to live in that house anymore and then like what are the other options? You know,
Yeah.
that's fucking scary, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
You're not wrong.
it's wild though, like to think about like the houses we came up in. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Where like the idea of like I'll just live somewhere else was like, no, you won't, you stupid idiot. Here's a loaf of bread and a pair of socks. Get out of here. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
I'll, st-
Yeah.
I'll see you in a half hour. Like
Yeah.
there was no scenario where I was like, I think my little brother ran away once and he like had a backpack and a bag of chips and said he was going to my grandmother's house, which was like across a river. We found him in like 20 minutes. He was like 8.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, you can get mad. Listen, the craziest thing is the balance, right? You got to know like there are times where your kid is gonna be fucking furious with you and hate you and be like,
Hmm.
you're the worst. I think about me and my mom, like, God, I battled with this woman the day I started high school to the day I left in college. I was like, this woman, her whole life is meant to screw me. And we are gonna fight about every fucking thing that comes up.
Yeah.
But by the time I turned 20, I was like, should I send her flowers every Friday for the rest of my life?
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
But that's
Like,
a different level. That's a
sure,
level that we
but
haven't gotten to yet. But
we're
even
gonna
like,
but we're
but
going
you
to we're
think,
going
I
to.
mean, yeah, there's some, I mean, at this level, yes. At Liam's age, yes, it's gonna carry over.
Well, we're
At your
all gonna
son's
get there,
age,
God
yes, it's
willing.
gonna, well, like,
I'm
but
already
does
almost
it,
halfway there.
Yeah,
I've 7 years left until like if she wants to, she could just bounce.
yeah,
that's what. Yeah,
You know what
what?
I mean? That's not a long time.
yeah. You're gonna be
No, well,
spending a
especially
lot of time at that Asian
well
massage
when
parlor if she
when you
does.
got that, especially when we look at the last 11 years, where you're like, I've been with this fucking person
20,
every single
dude.
day of my life.
God, Liam, that's got to be the scariest thing, right? Like, do you ever think about that? About you've been every day 11 years nonstop, and 7 years from now, she could be at college and you'll be by
Yeah, no,
yourself. Like,
I'm
how
sure you never
scary
considered
is
that.
that?
Yeah, I do think about that as long.
Of course you do.
I just need it to be like on
Good
like
terms.
terms that both of us
I
are
mean,
good with, you
she's
know?
at school on a cheer scholarship. You know
Yeah,
what I
then I'll be
mean?
set, then
Like,
I'll be thrilled. Then I'll be
right.
happy
And
that
you'll
it
be
all worked
going to
out,
see her
you
every
know?
chance you
Yeah, I'd
get,
be
and
honestly, that's best case scenario and I
she'll end up dating
honestly
like the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback,
I
Yeah,
hope,
and
man.
she'll go to
he'll come
Auburn.
on the show, and it'll be great. You
Mm,
know?
We'll still be doing retorted show, and we'll
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
guests.
yeah, dude. I mean,
I can
Except
only wish, man. I really
we'll be
do.
on Barstool at that point.
yeah.
Um, I'll tell you what, for
God
me,
willing.
and like I started to say before, like if there's one thing Jess and I agree upon, like completely, it's at least communication about discipline. Like, what are we doing? What are you doing Monday through Friday when they screw up? Because I have to do the same thing. I gotta do the same thing, whether I 100% agree with it or not. And for the most part, I do. There's not much. I mean, there's not much stuff. If anything, I almost want to be a little more. My philosophy is a little harsher than hers because, like I said, she's a psychologist and I'm a psychopath, as we've established on the show before. But I can't because it's gotta be consistent. And if it's not consistent, I'm gonna get rolled up here at some point when they come up and they're like, we I don't ever want to hear we can do this at dad. You know, like you know what happens at dad's house? We stay up a little later. Everybody gets a half hour, 40 minutes on their bedtime. Like I can live with that, right? Because I don't get to see them as much. So we don't get to hang out as much. So if my son wants to lay in bed with me and we want to watch, we were watching the biathlon last week and he was like, they're skiing and shooting. And I was like, yeah, bro, I don't know anything about this, but let's talk about it for an hour. That's great. But the consequences have to be similar or else the whole thing's going to fall apart. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, I'll tell you, for me, I do, the worst is for me is when I do go off the handle because, like, that like my daughter will do things. I have to be mindful because she's so much bigger than my son. She doesn't realize how much bigger she is than him, and
She has no idea. She
she
has
could
no idea.
really hurt him. And
But she doesn't know.
there was an incident the other day where she was playing with him and she like lifted his legs, and his face was still like in the couch,
Pillow or whatever. Yeah.
and she was like putting his legs almost behind his head, and I had to like
Oh
push her to the
man.
side to be like, "Are you what?" Like I was screaming at her, like, "What are
Hmm.
you doing?" Like I really
Hmm.
like got like, and she cried right away, and I could tell like I shook her, but I was like, "You could have fucking broke his neck. You
Hmm.
understand?" And I had to really come down on her hard. Like, do you want him to fucking be paralyzed? You're this close to breaking his neck. You're too rough.
Hmm.
You can't like shit like that. You have to get hard. And it's like, it fucking sucks. It is the worst. And like in the heat of the moment, I'm fucking 0 to 1,000, railing, like really going hard. But then afterwards, I have to be like, look, I know I yelled, but you were really close to hurt. You don't want to, I know you don't want to hurt your brother. I know you love
So
your brother. But it's
here,
like, you could have fucking broke his neck. If I would have let you go, you would have broke his fucking neck. Do you not understand?
here's
He's